Hello YouTube, my name is Ryan. Welcome back to my channel. This is the Marshall Mode Four MF350. Obviously it's disassembled. If you head over to my channel, you can see the full disassembly of this amp. I'm going to do a restoration on it. And before I start doing any kind of changing components out, like the typical maintenance of this is probably a 20-year-old amp, 21-year-old amp. See if any of these boards have any dates on them. I think on the inside of the chassis it said it was a 2004. Yeah, so inside the chassis this is a 2004 model. So 21-year-old amp. It needs some new electrolytic capacitors. A lot of people might say that you don't need to change out the electrolytic capacitors on the lower voltage sides, but I may go ahead and change those out anyway, just for longevity, preventative maintenance. Basically, I just want to go through all these boards and document. It's hard to find information on as amps get older, and I just want to document it so that if in the future somebody wants to work on one of these, they'll see what the stock original looks like. I have discovered after working on a few Marshalls that people did like to mod them. That's just kind of the chasing tone that we all do as musicians. We think we can make it better than what the manufacturer did, and a lot of times that is the case. They often use less expensive components to keep the prices down, and sometimes even just putting in a little bit better quality component of the same value really improves the tone. So all right, I'm just going to get in here and kind of document each board. I laid it out pretty much how the amp's assembled. When you have the chassis, this board goes on the inside of the chassis. That's obviously your control pots, the control potentiometers, your input jacks over here, roughly. This is your DI out here, but it's also your tube preamp section. And then you got your main board, that's the rest of it with your speaker outputs and your effects loop and your foot switch. And you got the little this is like the DSP module, so this is probably the reverb and the speaker emulation. I'm just going to go through and kind of get some good close-ups of these and document the boards. I hadn't had a chance to clean these boards off. In the initial video, I blew out the whole amp with the air compressor, but I need to get out to my shop and blow these out even more with an air compressor. I'm just gonna start documenting these here, and I think instead of zooming in, I'm just gonna bring the camera down close. Hopefully I can hold it steady enough. Get my see what I can do here. That might be throwing the white balance off too much. This is the preamp or the vacuum tube section of the preamp. Just kind of going over this here. Hopefully that's going to be clear enough to get a general idea of what everything looks like. Lots of dust on this thing. At the back side, I did discover a potentially fatal flaw on this little board. I just love the way these circuit traces look. But here, let me get this up here so I can use both of my hands. So the potentially fatal flaw that I found on this section of the board is these tube retainers are just going through holes on the PCB. Hopefully I have that focused. It's just like holes through the PCB with the wire bent over. When I was looking at this earlier, like this one is okay, but this one over here, if this retainer gets bent, then it's going to be touching on that circuit right there. Let me see if I can get that closer. So the way it's designed, it's just holes. I mean, you can see the wires just coming through. And if that was to get twisted or bent, it's going to touch that. Technically, this wouldn't be in contact with anything that had it's contacting glass, so it's not going to conduct anything, but I don't know exactly. Let's see, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, 6. So pin 6 is going to have B plus voltage. So that would potentially have DC current running through this. So that's kind of a poor design. I mean, at least it should have been bent the other way, because there's more clearance on the other side. But yeah, that's going to be something that I might address on this. I don't know how big these holes are, but it might be a good idea to put in a different tube socket with the old school kind of tube retainers, the little metal ones that screw down on the tube. But I'll have to check and see if I have enough clearance to do that. But that's this board. Then of course we have the jack, the input jack. Let me get that camera down here again. This is just a little board that the input jack is on. It's got a lot of diodes. See if I can zoom in close and see what those are. I need two other hands to really hold the camera and focus, and trying to see what those diodes are. The bad thing about components getting smaller and smaller, you just can't hardly even see what they are. Pretty much have to have a schematic to really determine what the values should be. I mean, you can always read color codes on resistors. A lot of times diodes are near impossible. And it looks like underneath there may be some indicator on what that diode's supposed to be. Can't quite make that out, but I should be able to read it when I view the video. Okay, let's move on over to this is going to be your first control section, which is turn this chassis around here. It's going to be top is gain, volume, reverb, and effects level, and the bottom is bass, middle, treble. So the top is a clean channel, the bottom is the amp number 1. So it's clean, amp number 1. I'm going to kind of get in here and hopefully I'm getting enough light on the board. And there's probably not too many people that are going to stick around for this unless you're working on one of these and want to see what the original components are. I've mentioned this before, but people's attention spans are so short now, they don't even want to learn anything. So crazy. Trying to go slow and steady enough to where if you need to read a value, you can. At least you could look at the schematic, maybe. See if I can get these electrolytics in there. It might be easier just to hold this up. And I'm really relying on the camera's autofocus here because I'm trying to hold it and trying to maneuver it and trying to focus it. Sorry if I'm making anybody seasick. I think this would be better off just looking at the schematic for those values. Another reason I like documenting these boards is if I am away from my bench, I can just look at the video and refer to something. Let's get the other side of that. I just love looking at these circuits. Just so cool. Okay, let's head over to the other control board here. This is going to be the other amp sections, which is kind of the higher gain sections. We have under here just connecting traces. I really think these LEDs are maybe part of the gain circuit, like clipping diodes maybe. You can kind of see where they have a mixture of carbon film and metal film resistors. Metal film is really good when you want higher tolerances for bias sections and stuff like that. Carbon film, some people might argue, but carbon film can kind of enhance tone, in my opinion, in some areas of amplifiers, because carbon is kind of inherently what could I say? It's going to be potentially variable depending on humidity, depending on temperature. So with carbon film, you can get kind of little nuances um, in tone circuits, because a lot of times those little imperfections add to the tone. Guitar amplifiers weren't meant to be super hi-fi. Let's get the other side of that board. I guess I should have, kind of looked at the clock and done a kind of given a even amount of attention to each board, but I'm just kind of going over these till I think I've shown everything. This might even be useful if for whatever reason you need to reconstruct one of these boards. Might make it easier for you to see the traces for a renovation or something. And I've renovated 3 of these, and every one of them, the only thing wrong with them was those little power modules. I think I did a pretty good close-up of those. I feel like I'm spending way more time on this one than I did on the other one. All right, let's move over to the main board. I didn't detach all of these cables because I want to see where they go, or I want to be able to put them back where they go. without having to think about it. I think I mentioned it in the previous video, but you can kind of see these capacitors are kind of domed up and they're kind of bulging. So definitely time for those to be swapped out. Hope that didn't just throw the white balance totally off. Needed to get some more light down in there. This is the DSP. I'm guessing that's for the reverb and the emulated speaker. Get this turned around. Might be able to see that better without that bright light. This turned around here. These are just all the connectors, really. This thing has a lot of diodes and a lot of electrolytic capacitors. See what the other side's like. This a little all the little maps, little highways, looks like little cities. I just recently went and saw the new Tron movie and kind of reminds me of that when I see circuits on a board, how they rode the motorcycles in the original Tron movie. I barely remember seeing that when I was a kid, but I did see it in the original Tron in the theater when I was a kid. And I'll probably go into more detail on these as I'm working on each individual board. I just kind of wanted to do a quick overview, even though it's not that quick. But there are some nerds out there like me that like to see this kind of stuff. But so far, everything on these boards I mean, it basically looks brand new. I mean, even though they were dirty as everything, I just need to clean them up a little more, and those should really be good. I guess maybe the only concern that I found, which is not really a concern, this is only going to be touching glass, but I just really don't like that this one. Yeah, and I didn't even do a good close up of that either. Just little things, when you're looking at amps, there's a very slim possibility that would ever even touch, but the possibility exists. If you look here, focal distance on this camera is crazy. So if that was to get twisted over, you're touching that solder point right there with the tube retainer. Zzz. And if I counted right, that's pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 would be the grid. So that's gonna have about, I'm not sure on this one, it should be about 250 to 300 volts. And then that would potentially be going through this. And that might not feel so good if you were swapping a tube out and the capacitors weren't drained. But anyway, all right, well, I think I'm going to stop there for tonight. Had a late night last night working on the Marshall 2205 that I finished up, so I am going to try to go to bed early tonight. So, thanks for stopping by my channel. If you like my videos, please give it a thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button. Head over to my channel. Check out some of my other restoration videos. I'm doing a whole series on this amp. I have lots of other amps that I've done, and other stuff, guitars, effects pedals, all kinds of stuff. If you're interested in that, go check it out. I'm going to get started on this probably next day or two, and hopefully get this one fired up by the weekend. All right, well, once again, thanks for stopping by my channel. I'm Ryan. Have a good night.